Ready?
I guess so. I mean, it's been recording this whole time, so, right?
Is this thing on? Hello? What's up, friends, and welcome to The Beautiful Mess, where we talk about tools and tactics to improve your life. I'm your host, Karli Dittus, and today you'll notice something a little different if you're watching this episode. I am joined by my lovely wife. I'm sure she can tell you a lot of things that you haven't heard on this podcast, but we'll be skipping over that, hopefully.
Okay.
Anyways, moving right along, she wanted to start things...
That's not what I wanted to start with. You can go ahead. Go ahead. This is going to be very conversational because I don't actually know what I'm doing. I'm just here answering your questions.
Very good. Very good.
Yes.
So, first of all, who are you and what do you do?
What do I do? Well, I am your wife. I am Karli. And right now I am a stay-at-home mom with the kids, trying to homeschool. Most days doing really well with that. Some days doing really horribly with that. Depends on the days. And yeah, that's what we're doing. We're just trying to do life together the best we can. And some days doing really well. Other days, full mess.
It's a beautiful mess. And
mess.
Speaking of the beautiful mess, I don't think I give Karli credit enough. She was the one that came up with the name, The Beautiful Mess. Do you want to dive into a little bit of your thought process behind this podcast and why the name?
Okay, sure. I'm sorry, I interrupted you, but now I will talk. Yeah, so you were just trying to think of a title. We were joking around about all kinds of silly names. I wish we'd written some of them down because we came up with some
unique,
very silly ones, basically. The particular day that I was like, you should call it The Beautiful Mess. I might be off on some of the details, but the kids had just made a really big mess in the dining room, but they were like coloring together. Like it wasn't like, let's be wild and trash the house, because like they were playing really well together. And it was a beautiful time playing together, but it took a long time to clean up. And so I joked, like, you came into the kitchen and I was like, you should call it The Beautiful Mess, because that. And like the other thing that I was saying, like, why that's a perfect title is because it's really just an excuse for anything. Like,
so if this podcast is terrible, it's okay.
Exactly. If you do something dumb, like that's what I'm doing. Like here, like I'm doing like this with my hands, and I don't know if that looks weird or not. But if someone,
you have a mug in your hand,
exactly,
saying you are the best.
Exactly right. But if someone were like, that looks weird, like you're doing your hands like that, I could just say, it's a beautiful mess.
It is The Beautiful Mess. And if you're watching this, I encourage you to smash that subscribe button down below so you don't miss any messy moments of this podcast.
Right.
And if you're listening, we welcome you to rate, review, subscribe, all that fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So today we wanted to dive into some of the little things that make a big difference in our lives. As a minimalist, we like to reduce clutter and things like that. And Karli, what is there like a recent event that you'd say that you feel like you practice minimalism in that beautiful, messy way?
Well, sure. I think the idea of minimalism is more that it's just a practical thing as a tool to make your life easier. The thing that we were just talking about recently is toys. We know that everyone likes the house better when we clean it up, but we don't want to be like children. You cannot have fun. You cannot play.
You can have 10 toys, kids.
No,
that's it.
Yeah, like you don't want to like control their playing. Like just let them play, right? But it's much easier to not only like just get it clean, but to encourage them to clean if it's not overwhelming. Like the particular thing we were talking about in the last few days is just if everything is just dumped in a bin. I mean, that's great for if you just need to clean quickly. Like, definitely recommend it. But like if for a regular basis, like we found for us, it works better when we restrict how many toys we have out at a time. And like, you know, you box up the rest and put it up in the closet and it works until the kids find it. But that is like one little thing that does make a big difference. We just have to wait till the kids go to bed to take some of the toys out and box them up so they can't see what you're doing. Yeah.
I mean, I think a good example of this was in our garage. We had a box that we set aside. We had gone through the toys before and like kind of cleared things up. And so we put a box away with all these random little toys, and we thought it would be safe there. Mm-hmm. They discovered it, and they made a big mess, a beautiful mess.
Probably shouldn't have put the box by their bike.
Perhaps we shouldn't have made it
so
too visible,
yes.
but they found it, and that made a bigger mess in our garage and in our house. But we have conquered that mess. I actually, Karli can take full, I guess, what do you call it? Not responsibility.
Motivational credit.
Yes, motivational credit. I was trying to think of the positive way of putting it. But basically, she took it upon herself to clean out our garage and make it so that we could park 2 cars in the garage. And she did. I mean, we've got 2 cars in the garage right now.
But give yourself credit, because do you think I would have been able to do that if you weren't watching the kids? Because, I mean, they could have helped me, and it would have been very sweet of them, but it would have taken a lot longer. Like, you took the kids out to play, and I was like, time to clean out the garage, and it worked. Yay.
So I think the moral of the story, how do you think that living out minimalism as a family applies? Because I feel like it's much different than a single person. They don't have to worry about toys. They don't have to worry. Right. So like, how do you think that someone can practice minimalism either as a family, kind of that unique situation?
Well, I mean, I think for one thing, you don't want to become obsessed about it where it's like, this is the be all end all. I am a minimalist. No, it's just a tool. Like, and if it's not working, so it's not working, but like, it's just, taking that general idea of I want to minimize the clutter or whatever it is for the purpose of having a more peaceful household, because it's just not cluttered everywhere, or and that doesn't happen every day because we got kids and they take the bins and dump them, and yeah.
So I guess like going back to what we were talking about, the little things that make a big difference.
Little things that make a big difference are kids.
Applying minimalism to our lives. So one way that we realized that we could apply minimalism and have a big yield, a big return on our investment was to reduce the number of toys that they have available
at a given time.
So you can apply this in your life in many different ways. But what we've noticed is that by reducing the number of toys, one, you're not having to clean up as much. Mm-hmm. It's like so much time is spent. Mm-hmm. They think about like in your life, where do you spend a lot of time like doing these reoccurring tasks? Because as Jordan Peterson talked about, if it takes you like 30 minutes or an hour every single night to get your kid into their bed and like laying down, like that's a great area. Like, especially if you don't enjoy it. If you enjoy it, that's a different story altogether. But if it's like a chore and you're like ready, as Dave Ramsey said, if you're tired of being sick and tired, that means that it's probably a good indication that you're ready for a change in your life. And so that's where we saw it. We were sick and tired of being sick and tired of cleaning up toys every single night, putting them away. And then the next morning, it was just like, we did nothing. Like, it was just like the floors were strewn with toys. So basically, we're trying to figure out ways that, one, the kids can still have fun. Like, we don't want to limit that by any means.
Yeah.
But two, at the end of the day, when we want the house to be, back to a state of normalcy, like it doesn't take us an hour or, even a half an hour if it could be, cleaning up, if possible,
I think you also have to acknowledge, like, we don't want to be the ones who are cleaning up. We want to teach the kids to clean up after themselves. But if this mess of toys is overwhelming for us as adults, how overwhelming is that for 5-year-old, you know, and like we've just, you know, back to those small differences that make a difference. We've noticed like it's much easier for the kids to pick up after themselves when there's less of it at a given time, for one thing, but then also just, you know, if they know they've got our help, like we're in there with them and it's like, all right, everyone. All right, your task is the dress up. Your task is the dinosaurs. Oh, do you need me to help you with that? Okay, I'll help you. I can't do it for you, but I'm going to help you do it. And it's just much less intimidating for them when it's a manageable task in the first place, and then also knowing that we got their back to help them out where they need it.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that one of the things that you do really well, just like running our household, is like you love to incorporate this idea of hygge. It's like Hygge.
Coffee.
You know, you got the warm sweater, you got the blankets,
Yep.
you got like this. Could you share for our listeners? Because I feel like I've maybe dived into it a little bit, but I'm not like, I feel like as well versed on it as you are. Like, why you think that's important for people to practice hygge, what it is, and how they can maybe start implementing.
Well, first of all, I'm going to say I don't think it's a universal thing. Like everyone has to have their house be hygge. For me, like I'm a bit more of a introverted. Like if you give me the option of, hey Karli, let's go out dancing, or let's go to the bookstore together and buy some books, I'd be like,
let's buy some books.
Let's do that. That sounds like an awesome date, right? Yeah, and just having a general sense of coziness about the house, like the blankets and you know, I'm just more comfortable in moccasins than in high heels. That's just me. Like I suppose I could wear high heels, but given the choice, I'm going to pick the cozy shoes over the fancy ones. I don't know. I think like having a sense of coziness in your house just makes it a welcoming place for people to exist. Like, and part of that hygge is not being so concerned that you can't let people just exist. Like, you know, like going back to the toys, it is hygge to pick up the toys and have the house be nice and clean and pleasant to wake up to in the morning. But it's also hygge to let the kids have fun with their toys and not worry so much about like, this is such a big mess. Like, you know, hey, it's a mess. We'll clean it afterwards. Or like the same with like letting them play in the mud or whatnot. After it rains, it gets muddy in the backyard. You know this. And no, I don't want them to come in and drag mud all over the floor, but I do want them to not worry about like, we can't get our clothes muddy. Like, get your clothes muddy. We'll rinse you off with the hose and shower you and throw your clothes in the wash, you know, and if we get mud all over the floor, you need to help me clean it up because I don't want mud all over the floor.
So like, I guess like applying hygge to your life, I feel like it also could be almost a mindset. It's like,
sure,
you're taking care of yourself. You're enjoying the moment. I think that's
true.
kind of like a principle behind hygge. It's like you're, it's like this hominess, this
hominess.
Welcomeness. Like you just feel right at home. You know, it's not like, it's very pristine. And I think minimalism and hygge could actually be like these two things that go well together,
or they could be the opposite if you're looking at it like an aesthetic instead of
like
tool.
Like as an art form. Maybe principally speaking, but I feel like they can go well together.
Yeah, I think so.
I feel like, what is it, the lo-fi, that music seems to be like the minimalistic hygge combo. If you haven't heard lo-fi before, just search it on YouTube. It's I feel like the marrying of minimalism and hygge together. So if you want a visual auditory representation, I'm just making this up on the spot, that this combination goes together, but I think it does. I think it does go together.
No, I believe you're right. I do.
So yeah, so like, as this is a beautiful mess. So we talk about messy moments, and the importance of starting things messy. Are there any examples in your life or things that you can think back that like you benefited from starting something messy? Or then hindsight, maybe you didn't have to care so much about like how things like needed, like I think in school, you're very worried about getting good grades. You're very worried about like looking just right for, your peers and things like that. But in the end, like, does that really matter? So like messy moments.
Well, that's actually, I'm no expert. I just repeat things that I hear, right? That work in my life, right? But one thing that I did hear that I thought, oh, wow, perfectionism, that there's a difference between just trying your best, right? And just wanting to do well. That's a good thing. Not going to deny that at all. But if it has to be perfect, it can't be, because your brain shuts down. Like your fight, flight, freeze system kicks into gear, and you can't think as clearly as you can if you're at a state of rest, because it doesn't have to be perfect. And I guess, since you asked about it, in my life in particular, I definitely was the student in high school who would wait till the night before to do my essays. And then I did this in college too, and it worked because I could. I don't know. But the reason like I would wait till the last minute wasn't because I had no desire to do well or whatnot and just putting it off. It's just that perfectionism that is often behind procrastination, right? Like I couldn't start it until I could do it perfectly.
Or until the last moment where you had to.
Exactly. And then you just have to like throw it out the window because the paper's due at 8 a.m. or something like that, right? But that stopped working when we weren't single and when we started having kids. And then it's like, we have adorable little interruptions. I can't just do this last minute because it just doesn't work anymore. And I'm not saying that I have that all figured out, but I do think I'm more comfortable with letting things be a lot more. It's just a better way to live, to try your best and by all means want to do well, but it doesn't have to be perfect.
Right. Kind of like that good enough is actually good enough.
It's true.
And one of the things that we try to instill in our kids is this idea of best effort. Putting in your best effort. It goes back to reading some of these books that I've read on. I read too many books. But yeah, speaking of books, if you want to check out my list of top 10 books that I read last year, in the description, so check it out. But anyways,
I thought that was very impressive, dear. You did a really good job with like making a list of books, and then actually like you read all of them. Like you actually did that.
Read
you did
40 books.
You did.
That was insane.
Really well with that.
I don't think this year I'm going to read 40 books. I just, it was a good experience, but like it was pretty crazy.
But you deserve a sticker that says you did something.
So this is probably a future product line. We're trademarking here right now, but we want to create these like this product line that goes off like you did something, like, so like no matter what it is, celebrate the little wins. And, we're going to create probably stickers, mugs.
Right.
It was actually funny when I gave Karli this mug, "You are the best." I put a sticky note on front of it, and I think I wrote, "You did something."
You did. You wrote, "You did something," and then gave me a coffee mug that says "You are the best."
So that's just a future indicator of the product line that we're probably going to come out with. So make sure that you stay tuned for that. I'm sure it's going to come soon. Maybe we'll create some T-shirts.
Right.
You did something.
But
it works for any occasion, really.
The T-shirts, though, the thing is, it's going to be printed slightly off. That way, it's a beautiful mess that's good enough, but not perfect.
Yeah, just like having no regrets.
No regrets?
Regrets. I'm currently listening to a book about regrets, and someone had it purposely tattooed, "No regrets." Like basically, it's like misspelled.
Nice. That's hilarious.
Haven't finished the book yet, so I'm not sure if I regret anything yet or should regret anything. So if you want to know whether you should regret anything,
Yeah, right.
Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Anyways, hopefully we do not regret this episode. I don't regret it. I don't. So far,
I might regret it. I don't know.
But like I think it's important to enjoy the simple things of life. Whether it's drinking a cup of coffee, I think we can get like overwhelmed when we consider like all these things that need to get done. And it's important, like running a business right now, like there's a lot of things that need to get done. But the important thing that I'm trying to remind myself is to not lose sight of the little things as you go along, like enjoying the moment, like reading a book to my kid, or like just appreciating those moments that, like, if I lose sight of that now, I mean, I'm never going to get that time back with my kid at this age in this moment. And so I don't know if you similar experience with you, like just trying to like amidst the beautiful mess, trying to enjoy those little
I think you're giving, the Jim and Pam and the dear, I recognize and appreciate the little things you do, but it's true. Do that. Like, dear, I recognize and appreciate that you made me a cup of coffee before we started this. And it was thoughtful. And yeah.
So backstory on this. So we recently finished watching The Office.
It was good. I liked it.
All, what is it, 8 seasons?
Nine seasons.
9 seasons. And that was something that Karli took from it. I appreciate and acknowledge, when Jim and Pam are having like a hard time in their marriage, like, right. They went to counseling or whatever. And one of the things that they took out, I appreciate and acknowledge that you gave me a cup,
right. Like noticing just, you did this little thing. You handed this to me. I acknowledge and appreciate that you did that.
So you did something.
You did something.
You listened to this episode.
That's true.
You're 20 minutes in or something like that. Yeah.
How long have we been talking?
It's been about 20 minutes. I think, a couple seconds to get started, but
okay.
I mean, I don't know. Should we keep them here for longer, or do you think they're good?
Well, here's the thing. If people don't like us randomly talking to each other, they can just stop listening. So,
I mean, seriously, they probably already stopped listening. If you're listening, you're probably my mom.
Or mine.
Oh, that's true. I don't know if your mom listens regularly. I mean, she might listen to this episode.
That's true.
Now that I got her daughter on it.
Right.
So yeah, I think this is good. Maybe we should end it here. What do you think?
Sure, we can end it here.
Any last thoughts on the little things that make a big difference in our lives? Minimalism.
Sleep is the big thing that makes a big difference.
On another note, this is really fascinating.
Okay.
Wearing sleep trackers and paying attention to the data actually can be harming your sleep. Because all of a sudden you see like, oh, I only got 6 hours of sleep last night. And therefore you mentally become like you're sleep deprived,
exactly right.
So maybe don't pay as much attention to your sleep results that you get on your watch or smart devices. That was one interesting thing that I noticed. And I actually tried not wearing my watch for a while. It was interesting because like I would normally pay attention to when I went to bed and when I woke up, and then now it's just like when I don't wear it, it's like.
But you can't do that anymore because, like, seriously, you try to set an alarm clock, and the living alarm clocks that we have downstairs, they're gonna wake you up before the alarm clock anyway.
If you want alarm clocks, get kids.
Yeah, have kids.
Yeah,
but yeah, never need an alarm clock again.
You're set for life,
right?
Oh man, good times, good times. So. What should we tell our listeners to do? Rate, review, subscribe. Oh man, Karli has to learn the system.
I don't know. You do. The technology. I'm just sitting here.
Well, we have to thank them.
Thank you,
especially if they've made it this long into the episode.
For the little thing of listening to this cozy episode.
If you want to hear more episodes like this, make sure you smash the like button so I know that this episode was special to you, and that Karli should make another appearance.
There you go.
So,
yeah.
And until next time, my friends, stay
What am I saying?
You're supposed to say stay messy.
Oh, stay messy? I thought you were I was going to say stay beautiful or something.
No.
Stay beautiful.
This is the beautiful mess.
Okay, there you go.
They need to stay messy, trying new things, adventuring. So until next time, my friends,
Stay beautiful.
stay messy. See ya.
Did we turn this off?
I think that's it.
All right, that's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.